To you, my Yah, do I lift up my soul. And trusting you, he always kept me whole. And left my enemies deep in their holes. Let none that wait on Yahweh be ashamed. But shame on those who sin without a cause. Show me your ways, please teach me your laws. Oh Elohim of my salvation, I'm staying down and patient. As a child, all the while I'm waiting. Remember not the sins of my youth. Lead me in your truth, and he'll give your soul ease. The earth shall remain inherited by a seed. The secret of Yahweh who fears Elohim, who believes everything. And to every word spoken, you can't take heed unless you hear somebody curse. You know you did the same thing. That's why I'm begging Yah for mercy and His love and kindness, cause I know that I ain't worthy.
The seven seas, captivity is taking hold upon me. For frighten me and now we flee from fallen leaves. The grinding grief from all the blood our people sing. And now we cry, where is the word from Elohim? And so we physically all this wise to be submissive, but we dismiss it. It is of this reason we have fallen victim to the lies that your root will pray and pursue. Rebellious of his son, forgotten that he is one. Broken the holy ordinance, rejection of reproof. Then acknowledge what we do. Now we return back to the truth.
Yah's word is the truth. Yah's decrees is the proof. Local 12 just released the scoop. It's the summer of Sam. They calling it Pam. Made us worship the Son of Man. And somehow that the moon, they stole our style and gave it to Rothschild. Now we exalt the vow, but hit the turnstile. Yah's now be set to crooked things straight. Praise Yah from the rising to the evening to the closing the gate. Exposing the fake. Yah give the truth a daybreak. Now the liars can't escape and the haters can't relate to the light the truth makes. See the wicked pride deflate. You adore Yah, magnify Yah, cutting straight.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise and honor to the Holy One of Israel, to the Creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is, by saying hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah. Yah is righteous. Yah is holy. Let Yahweh be magnified. Once again, the Creator has allowed us to come before you another night, another day, another week, to bring to you His great and holy and exalted words, even the words of Yah. My name is Mowreh IshYAH of the house of Israel, located right here in Cincinnati, Ohio, 1907 Vine Street, bringing to you nothing but the truth. And yes, it is true. All we're going to do is tell you the truth. For Yah ordained me to tell you the truth, so this is what I'm going to do. But who is this Yah? Yah is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is. Yah is the Elohim of our fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzhak, and YIsraEL, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yah is our king. He's our judge. He's our lawgiver. He's our only savior, and not just of Yisrael, but the savior of the world. And I praise Yah for allowing me to come before you. And I thank my beloved brothers who stood in for me last week, who did a great job while I was recovering. And I praise Yah for your commitment and your service towards Elohim. And now that I'm back, we're going to begin dealing with how does one study the scriptures. The scriptures is not like any book that you have ever read and that you have ever seen and that you have ever known. Yes, it is true. It is the most read book. What they call and what you know of as the Bible is the most read book on the earth. But most who read it, the mass majority of the people who read it, still yet don't understand it. And why? How can a book be read so much by so many people, but little understanding? Why is this Bible such a mystery to so many people? Why do you have all kind of religious factions coming out of this Bible? All kind of opinions, various understandings, a host of ideologies and mysteries, but it's the most read book on the earth. And many of the people who was charged to read it, to know it, to understand it, even many amongst them believe that they know it also, but then you find that the understanding is still wanting. And why is this so? Well, let me just tell you the bottom line and the neck and bone truth. That the scriptures it was never meant for you to read it in a manner that you read other books. And our people have learned how to learn from other people. Because as many of you all know, we've been raised here in a society that never had our best interests, in particularly and especially our development, self-worth, and our ability to grow and learn. This has always have been used against us. The more we wanted to learn, the more we became oppressed. And why would people do that? Why would people have laws in the founding? And of course, they love their founding fathers. So why would their founding fathers, who they love so much in this country, why would they have laws that would stop a man from learning, reading, writing, and self-development? Why? And why would they have laws that will discriminate and cause a people to live in the worst type of environments that is not conducive to learning, and then criticize these people when they don't learn? What type of people would do such a thing? But even if you were allowed to reach the stars in your development, in your growth, in learning, if you learn everything that the master had at his disposal for you to grow and learn, you still would not have achieved how to know the scriptures, because you don't study the scriptures like you read other books. This is a misnomer. Why do you think the world is confused about this one little book? Why do you think so many religions and so much division is happening? Because of the various principles that it takes to know the scriptures. And this week we're going to show you how to study the scriptures so that you can know it, because you can know the scriptures. Now you might ask yourself, well, what make me an expert on studying the scriptures? The Most High. Now, why can I say that? Because it's his words. And the very one that the words belong to, would not he know what they mean? Would not he know what they're saying? And would not he know how they are defined? For they are his words. So the Most High is the one that give us the insight, the ability, and the mastery of his words. But if you don't want to know, then you go to the school and learn how to read and write, and I guarantee you, you're not going to know these words, as most do not. And so we're going to start tonight on how to study the Word of Yah. The first thing you want to know about the Creator's Word, the very first thing, is in the book of Ecclesiastes, and I want you to turn there. I oftentimes show people this, and but I don't think they understand what they're seeing. I just want you to see this. And there's a couple things I want you to see. One, is in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. And this is what it says. This is one of the first principles that you have to know, even though it's in the book of Ecclesiastes. And watch what it says. 3 and 14. I know that whatsoever Elohim doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. And Elohim doeth it, that men shall fear before him. So everything he does, he's doing it because he wants you to fear him. He wants you to see how unique and set apart he is from everything. So whatsoever he doeth is going to be forever, and you can't put nothing to it, nor take anything from it. And watch what it says, 15th verse. That which have been is now. And I want you to ponder on that. That which have been. In other words, this stuff already been, but it's now. And that which is to be have already been. In other words, it ain't even came yet, but it's already been. And Elohim require that which is past. Why? Because whatsoever Elohim does, it is forever. It's forever. So when he set into motion everything in the beginning, it was forever. And even if you don't understand that, understand that whatever it is, even though you never seen it, even though you never knew it, once it comes to your mind, you can't put nothing to it. You can't take nothing from it. And no, Elohim is doing it as a result of your ability to fear him. And once you begin to learn this, you will learn that this book, this Bible, these scriptures cannot be read like other books. Let's continue reading. Let's read some more on how do you study the scriptures. Watch what this says. And I'm going to show you something that's not going to be different than what we just read. It's just going to clear up. If you a little confused about what we just read, then watch what this says. Because we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of these things. How does one study the scriptures? You cannot read the book of Yah as if you're reading the book of Harry Potter. These are two different books altogether. You can't read the scriptures as if you're reading The Color Purple. No, these are totally different altogether. And you're going to see why they are different. This is why people will tell you, well, that's your understanding. And this is your understanding. And that's what you get out of the book. I asked people about this movie called, they call it the Black Panther. And depending on who you're speaking to, they might say, well, no, I think it's about this. And then another person, well, I think it's about that. And both of them can be right. But not so with the scriptures. somebody is right and everybody else is wrong, or everybody's under an illusion. Because there is something that is right. And this is what we have to come to terms with. And let me tell you who's right. The Most High. Because the Most High tell one, teach one how to study the scriptures. This is the only type of book like this where you go in knowing, or it has principles that teach you how to study it. Watch what this says in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 30th chapter. We read in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, whatsoever Elohim doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. For Elohim doeth it, that men should fear before him, that men should fear before him. What has been is now. What shall be have already been. And Elohim require that which is past. And so oftentimes if you want to know what's going on today, well, you got to know what happened yesterday. You got to know about the past. And if you want to know the future, you got to understand today. You got to understand yesterday. To know the future, what book can you read like that? Watch what this says. Proverbs 30, the 5th verse. Every word of Elohim is pure. He is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. Now watch what it says. Add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. So in other words, the word of the Most High, the word of Elohim is so pure, which means it's unblemished, is unscathed, is unmatched. It's 100. That's what it means. It's pure. And since every word is pure, you can trust it. But this is what you don't do. You don't add to it. And you don't take nothing from it. Because what happens when you begin to do that, then thou will be found a liar. And this is what we have. Many of a multitude of liars. And why? Because they don't know how to study the scriptures. Why? Because they are reading the scriptures as if they reading a book, The Art of War. You don't read the scriptures like you read the book, The Art of War. You don't read this book like a book Donald Trump done wrote. No, this is a book that is totally diverse from any book that you have ever seen, ever known, and will ever see. And you have to know how to study it. And our enemies only know how to study one way. All you got to do is ask them, how do you got to read. They just tell you to read. But not so with the Creator. The Almighty tell you to study the scriptures. You can't just read. You have to know words. And to know words, you got to know meaning. Because meaning brings context. Now, other people will tell you, no, you got to know language. Language don't bring no context at all. You can learn a language all day long. But if you don't know the words and the essence of the words, and you only can get the essence of words from the author himself. That's where you get these people write books all the time. And as I tell you, depending on who read those words from that author, they're going to tell you what they see and what they're reading into it. But the one that can tell you the meaning of his words and give you insight of his words is the Most High himself. And he's giving you insight today. So number one, even though you might be tempted to add a little bit or to take a little bit away, the Almighty said, no, no, no. Don't add to his words. Don't take nothing away from his word. And why? Because every word of Elohim is pure. They're pure. So you never ever want to add to them or take anything from them, which can only mean one thing and one thing only. You will have to learn how to keep his word or leave his words alone. In other words, you just can't go changing words like you want to. And you just can't make them mean what you want them to mean. You got to allow the one who spoke the words define the words that he has spoken. And yes, the Almighty has done just that. He's defined his word to let you know what these things mean. Furthermore, in the book of Deuteronomy, let us turn there. Not trying to be so redundant, but I got to drive this home about the Most High. And you'll read this in the book of Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter. And I just want to see if you believe the Creator mean what he say and say what he mean. And this is what it says. Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, the 2nd verse. Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of Yah your Elohim, which I commanded you. You understand this? You're not to add to his words. You're not to diminish nothing from his words. Because this is the only way you're going to be able to keep his commandments. So you can't read this like you read other books. This is a grave mistake that our people have learned from their enemies. They'll take certain chapters and just read the whole chapters. Or they read 2 or 3 chapters in a book. So you got 34 chapters in Deuteronomy. And they say, well, we got to get through Deuteronomy, those 34 chapters, over the course of a year's time. So we got to read those this week and that a week and that a week, that a week. In other words, we got to divide these chapters up. Likewise, in the book of Numbers and Exodus and Leviticus and Genesis. And then once we go from Genesis to Deuteronomy, then we had to just cut these things up and then start all over again. And some people go through Genesis all the way through Malachi. And this is good. But if you want to understand the scriptures, that ain't how you study the scriptures. This is not how you know the scriptures. And this is not how you teach the scriptures. And we all, and I mean all of us, are commanded to teach. All of us. I'm going to show you this. So it is a necessity that you know how to study the scriptures. So number one, don't add nothing to it. Don't diminish anything out from it. This is the only way that you're able to leave it alone and let it teach you. You can't read your way into understanding what this is saying. And you notice in this second verse, it says, ye shall not add unto the word, which I command you. You notice in the book of Proverbs 30 chapter where it says every word of Elohim is pure. In other words, this is the other misnomer about the scriptures. The scriptures is not a story. The scriptures are made up of words. It's made up, it's a collection of very valuable, important, significant words that come from the Most High himself. And these words must be defined. And how can you read these words without understanding what these words mean? And we know it's not as simple as most will have you to believe. This is why when one person reads the word day in the scriptures, to them, that means a 24-hour period. The word day to a lot of people means day and night. It means 24 hours. It means evening to evening. Although in the scriptures, the Almighty defined the word as light. He called the light day. Something as simple as that. Why don't we understand that? And why don't we know that? Because we don't know how to study the scriptures. And we think we can read the scriptures like we read other books. Although the word month comes from the Hebrew word Kodesh, the mass majority of our people, when they see the word Kodesh, they see moon, even though it don't even mean moon at all. At all. The word Kodesh never translates into moon, ever. But this is what they've been taught. This is what they believe. And let me tell you, the word moon don't translate into month at all. The word moon all over the scriptures means light. The lesser light. The greater light at night. Because we have learned how to read, but we didn't learn how to study the scriptures as the Most High will have us to know. And the Creator left these principles in the scriptures so that we can understand His words. So number one, you don't add nothing to His words, and you don't take nothing from His words at all. You leave them alone. Even though you want to fix that word up and dress that word up and change that word and correct that word, the Almighty said, leave it alone. And He's going to show you the understanding of that word. But you have to trust Him. Every word of Elohim is pure. And He is a shield unto them that trust in Him. Add thou not unto His word, lest He reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. So that's number one that you want to do. You want to learn how to leave these words alone, because they are words. This whole book is words. Let me show you something else you got to know in studying the scriptures. This is something that is taken for granted. You'll read it in the book of Deuteronomy. I think you're going to find it in Deuteronomy. The 30th chapter. And watch what this says. What are we discussing? We're discussing how to study the scriptures. We see the Creator Himself said, don't add nothing and don't take nothing away from it, the word. But this is why. Watch what this is. Deuteronomy 30, verse 11. For this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off. Now, what commandment is He speaking about? Well, let me tell you the commandment that He's speaking about. The 10th verse. It says, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yah thy Elohim, to keep His commandments and His statutes, which are written in this book of the law, and if thou turn unto Yah thy Elohim with all thy heart and with all thy soul, now you know. For this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off. It's not in secret. It's not far off. It is not in heaven, that thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. So it's not where you think it is. You think it's somewhere that it is not. Neither is it beyond the sea, that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it, is not over the sea. Let me just get some perfect. Let me get the original language. If you had the original language, you would know it. You can't read it, nor can you speak it. Matter of fact, if you've seen it, you wouldn't even know if it was original or not. But everybody wants the original. Every day our people go out there buying Jordans and watches and chains, thinking they the original, and then you come back with some stuff made in Korea and China that's not real. But watch this. 14th verse. But the word, because I'm telling you, this is about words. This is about words. But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou mayest do it. So the Almighty, He put it within you. He gave you the ability to know this word. And He made sure He made it available, so available, that really you will not need an outside entity to bring it to you, to translate it for you, or to give it to you in a manner that you might understand it. No, the Creator said this word is very nigh unto thee. You just have to learn how to study the scriptures. One might say, well, what about a priest? Yes, He gave it to the priest to give it to you. But even if the priest gave it to you, the priest don't have no special understanding to give it to you. The way they got it is the way they have to give it. So it's still dependent upon you. It's always dependent upon you. You are the receiver. And as the receiver, you still have to learn how to translate it. Whether it comes from a man or whether you read these words by itself. You should know how to receive it. And how do you do that? You don't add nothing to it. You don't take nothing from it. And you know that this is already within you. It's within you to know it, that you may do it. So don't think, man, maybe I need to buy a JPS Bible. Maybe if I get me an exegesis. Maybe if I get me an interlinear Bible. Maybe if I get me a Schofield Bible that has commentary and that can explain these things. Maybe let me just get the old King James Version. Or let me just get one in Old Hebrew. Or let me get one in Paleo Hebrew. These are the things that our people are saying, searching. For the understanding to be able to learn the scriptures. And not one time, not once, did the Creator come and tell our people that they need to learn a language to learn about him, to know him, and to know his words. That does not exist in the scriptures. But rather, he did say, don't add nothing to my word, and don't take nothing away from it. That's what he did say. Furthermore, another thing that a lot of people don't want to accept in studying the word of Yah and what we're teaching you and showing you how one study the word of Yah. See, once you begin to learn, okay, I'm not going to add nothing to the word. I'm not going to take nothing away from the word of Yah. Let me show you what you have to do when you're studying the Creator's words. Watch this in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah 28. You have a lot of types of people when they studying the Creator's word. You have a fashion that they think everything they reading is a lie anyway. They don't trust this. This is nothing to them. When they read this, they have already judged it to be erroneous, full of problems, full of errors, full of blemishes. And then when you go to ask them, well, show me the blemishes, show me the errors, show me the faults. And then you get silence. Then you have another group that every time they read it, they've already told themselves they don't understand it. I don't understand it. Oh, I just don't get it. You're never going to get it, and you're never going to understand it, because when you read it, you just think you're reading a bunch of words, but you got to study the scriptures. And we're going to show you this. But you can't have this negative, defeatist, low self-esteem attitude towards studying. When you study something, you have to study with the mindset to learn it. How can you spend your time studying something, and then after you get finished studying, you say, well, I don't know it. I just don't know it. You don't know nothing? No, I don't get it. You don't get nothing? Then what you doing all this studying for? That's why you study. And maybe it's not that you don't understand it. Maybe you just don't know how to study. And this is what I find. People think they're reading things and they're reading words, but they don't even know what the words they're reading mean. And all over the scriptures tell us every word of Elohim is pure. And so when you get to certain words and you just don't know it and you don't get it, then you got to learn how to define it. You got to learn its meaning. You have to learn its usage. And then you'll understand what it's saying. And watch this. In the book of Isaiah 28. This is what it says in the 9th verse. Whom shall he teach knowledge? Whom shall he teach knowledge? Who do you teach knowledge anyway? Everybody think they have knowledge, and everybody think they can know knowledge and get knowledge. Well, if that's true, then why can't anybody get the scriptures if that's true, whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? And what is doctrine? Well, this is doctrine, the Creator's word. But how are you going to understand it? Watch what it says. Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. So when you can approach the Creator's word, and we're talking about words, you cannot approach his words like you approach other books. These other books, you can approach them with the attitude and the mindset that you know how to read and write. Because these books are written by men. They're just written by men. And long as you understand sentence structure and things like that, then you can understand what they're saying. But not so with the Creator's word. You have to know words. You have to understand knowledge. And you got to understand how to study. Because if you don't know how to study, all your reading is going to be in vain. Because all you're doing is reading, but you're not studying. Because Yah never wanted his word just to be read. He wanted his words to be done. And in order for you to do his words, you must study his words. Watch what it says. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. In other words, babies. In other words, the Almighty wanted you to be child-minded when studying his words. He wants you to be able to empty everything out so he himself can pour everything in. And most people don't empty nothing out. They think they can just pick up the book and start studying, start reading. No, that is not the truth. You have to be like a baby. You got to just be ready to learn. You have to be ready to learn, grow, and develop. And we pick up the book not ready to learn. And people ask me all the time, what can I study? What can I read? And all the things in the book, do I need to tell you what to read and tell you what to study? Well, I can understand why people ask me this question all the time, and it's not talking about one individual. I'm talking about a lot of people ask me these things often. And let me tell you why. Because the word of Yah, the meaning, the understanding, come from him. And they have come to the conclusion many times, just picking up this book to read it, just picking up this book to study, without having direction, is in vain. And I don't pick up the book in vain. When I go to the book, it's only because the Almighty have taught me and showed me what to say and what to show you and what to teach and what to know and what to understand. Watch what it says. 10th verse. For precept must be upon precept. And what is that? What's a precept? A precept is a law. And our people don't study laws upon laws. Our people just read some laws. And then after reading the law, they say, well, why ain't you doing this? This law say you unclean. But little do they know, if they had kept reading all the various laws that pertain to this thing, then they would have known. But this is not how they study. Precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line. No, our people don't go line upon line. See, line upon line might mean Genesis to Joshua, back to Numbers, to Leviticus, because there's a manner in which you study. Precept must be upon precept. Line must be upon line. Line upon line. And watch what it says. Here a little, and there a little. You have to exercise the whole book of Yah in all his words until the meaning of that word becomes clear. And when Yah see that you have put the work in to understand his word, because every word of Elohim is pure, and you put that work in to understand it. Why? Because you went precept upon precept. Precept upon precept. Why? Because you went line upon line. Line upon line. Here a little, and there a little. And watch what it says. 11th verse. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people. So don't get caught up in the language that you might hear. Don't get caught up in the dialect that you might hear. Don't get caught up in the slang that you might hear. Get caught up in the words. You want to know the word of Yah. And see, as I tell people, the word of Yah is not like any other book at all. And I'm going to show you some things so you can see what I mean. It's not like these other books. And you can't pick it up like these other books. And you can't read it like other books. And you can't study it like other books. And finish this out, the 12th verse. Watch what it says. To whom he said, this is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest. Because if you're studying correctly, then you're going to find the rest. You're going to find the rest. But if you do not study it correctly, watch what it says. To whom he said, this is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest, And this is the refreshing, yet they would not hear it. They didn't even hear it. They wanted to read this like our enemies told them to read it. From one chapter to the next, then to the next chapter, and to the next chapter, and to the next chapter. That's not how the Almighty told you to read. He doesn't say for chapter must be upon chapter. Paragraph must be upon paragraph. No, he didn't say nothing like that. Not at all. But they would not hear. They going to read it just like they read the color purple. And watch what it says. But the word of Yah was unto them precept upon precept. It's still, that's what it was. But the word of Yah was unto them precept upon precept. Precept upon precept. Line upon line. Line upon line. Here a little and there a little, that they might go and fall and backward and be broken and snared and taken. And this is what happens when you do it your way. This is what happens when you refuse to listen. Now we have people teaching things that's not even in the book. Why? Because they added something and they taken something away. Even though the Creator said, don't add to my word and diminish not at all. But they did. And then we wonder why they're snared and broken. Even though the Creator said precept upon precept, precept upon precept, we have people telling just read Numbers. With today, this Sabbath, we're going to read Numbers 18, Deuteronomy 4, Genesis 28, and we're going to read the 13th chapter of Exodus. What in the world? It's not how you study the scriptures. These are words. And you must understand words. You must begin to learn how to define words. And how do you define words? Not by no dictionary. You don't go to no dictionary to define the word of Yah. That's what you do for other books. You don't go to the concordance to define words of Yah. That's what the Jewish people taught you. If you want to know what the word of Yah mean, you got to let Yahweh define it. And how does Yah define words? Precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. This is how you define words. You keep going and going and going until the Almighty show you what it means. And I can assure you, He will do exactly that. How does one study the scriptures? As I told you before, this is not like any book at all. And if you pick it up like other books, you're going to be snared and broken. And you ain't going to never understand it. This is the most read book on the earth. So why don't everybody know it? Why is there so much division? Because they trying to read it like other books. It's not Harry Potter. Let me show you something in the book of Genesis, the 15th chapter. See, these are the things that you want to be able to see. Oh, watch this. In the book of Genesis, the 15th chapter. And watch this in the very first verse, because this is the first time this was even said in the book. Genesis 15:1. After these things, the word of Yah came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. And you notice it said the word of Yah came to Abram in a vision. Now, why is that so important? Seeing that this is the very first time you can even read that the word of Yah even came to a man, especially in this manner. What does that mean? What is it trying to tell us? Well, it's trying to tell us something real important about his words. The first thing you must the first thing you must accept is that these are words. Yeah, I know it sounds simple, like we know they words. No, these are not like words in another book. These are the words of Yah. So these are words that he's bringing to you. He's speaking to you. These his words. These are not the words of man. So that's number one. Number two, you can't add and take away from these words, because every word of Elohim is pure. And he's only going to be a shield unto them that put their trust in him. And if you're able to do that, don't add nothing to them, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. And who want to be found a liar? The reason why this is so significant is because now the Creator is letting us know how he speaks to us. How he speaks, period. And not only how, who he speaks to. And these are the things we got to know if we desire to understand the scriptures. There's no sense of studying something and you don't even know how to study it. The reason why he spoke to Abram in a vision, and his word came to him in a vision. Watch what the Creator had to say about this in the book of Amos, the 3rd chapter. So you can see what this is saying. This is another reason why the Creator wanted you to know that every word of Elohim is pure. Because he know that your ability to trust in his word will be very tempted. You will have temptations not to trust him. So he's giving you the opportunity in the beginning. He's testing you, proving you, and saying, trust me, just trust me, and watch what happens. Look what it says in the book of Amos, the 3rd chapter, it says in the 7th verse, surely Yahweh, Elohim, will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets. Did not we read in the book of Ecclesiastes that whatsoever Elohim doeth, it shall be forever? Nothing can be put to it, and nothing can be taken away from it. And Elohim doeth it that men shall fear before him. What is now have already been, and what shall be is what is now. And Elohim requires that which is past, because everything was set in motion from the beginning. So you don't have to add anything to it. You don't have to take nothing away from it. You don't have to figure out why such and such doing this time and then such and such doing that time. Like a lot of people will say, well, he was closer to the men then than he is now. The scripture said, whatsoever Elohim do, it shall be forever. In other words, if he dealt with me in a certain way in the past, how do you think he gonna deal with them men today? Well, the same way. Why? Because he required that which is past. And whatsoever he doeth, it shall be forever. So how do you think he will deal with people in the future? Well, the same way. Why? Because whatsoever Elohim doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it. Nothing can be taken away from it. And Elohim doeth it that men shall fear before him. Yah is not like man. He's not like the seasons. He's not like anything where it would change. The time change. The weather change. You and I change. But Yah do not change for nothing. Surely Yah Elohim will do nothing, but he reveals his secret unto his servants, the prophets. And why? Isn't that what he did with Abram? Did not it say the word of Yah came unto him in a vision? Why? Because this is how he speaks. This is how he deals. This is what he does. So as you studying Yah's words, you look for a vision. What is a vision? A vision is your ability to see and to understand what you're reading. You don't look for Webster. You don't look for Strong. You don't look for other things. You look for the Most High to show you the insight. Why? Because this is how he deals with us. Now, you might not be a prophet. You might not be one that Yah will set up or has set up as an instrument to teach his people. But you are an instrument that Yah has set up to learn so that you can teach your children. So you still have to have the ability to learn how to study the scriptures. Watch this. Let me show you this. In the book of Numbers, the 12th chapter. This is not like any other book. And you can't pick it up like any other book. You must dump everything out of your cup. Everything that you've learned, you must get it out of the way. And you must become a little child all over again, as if you're drawn or weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast, a little baby. You clear your mind and you start studying the words of Yah. Numbers, the 12th chapter. This is what it says. Sixth verse. And watch what this says now. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, Yah, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. Why? Because this is how the Creator deal. This is what he do. How can you understand the Creator's words without visions and dreams? This is how the Creator gives. This is how he speaks. This is how he operates. And there's only one exception to that rule. And you're about to read it. My servant Moshe is not so, who is faithful in all my house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And the similitude of Yah shall he behold. Wherefore, then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moshe? In other words, the word of Yah is so precious. It's so precious that here it is, even though Miriam and Aaron received the great exalted words of Yah in visions and in dreams. But he wanted them to know, as great as you all are in receiving my words and visions and dreams, there is one that is among you that received my words mouth to mouth, even apparently, not in dark speeches, and the similitude. In other words, my appearance, he's going to be able to see. Why? Because I'm speaking to him mouth to mouth. Why? Because I'm not coming to him in some dark speech. Why? Because I'm not speaking to him in riddles. How can we then pick up this book called the Scriptures, the Holy Scriptures, and then read it as if we reading one of the comics of Marvel. These comic books, Marvel comic books. Man, this is not no Marvel comic book. This is the word of Yah. No wonder the world is confused. No wonder no one understands these great words and the great prophecies and what will happen in the last days. And the Creator knew this, and He wanted on record that people would know it is not Him that they're studying about. It is not Him that they're looking for. It is not His words that's at the forefront of their mind when they're out there talking about the word of Yah. Watch what the Creator lets us know in the book of Isaiah, the 29th chapter. Isaiah 29. And this is what it says. Starting at the 9th verse. Stay yourselves and wonder. And this is what's going on today. A lot of wonder. Wonder Woman and wonder this and wonder that. Just a lot of wonders, but these are not wonders at all. I noticed most of all the so-called superheroes that they got and all the Marvel comic books, the writer and the person who wrote these things had to be a very violent person, because every one is violent. They bring destruction to the earth. Yeah, you think Superman saved, but after he finished, the earth is in shambles. After Batman get to going around the earth, it's in shambles. Spider-Man and the rest of them. Who wants to get bit by a spider and a bat? And you would think somebody would save the earth from destruction, but every Marvel is destroying. Why? Because the person, the author, the writer, has a violent mind. And watch this. And he preys on the violence of the very people that love his stories. And then we take that same mind and try to read the scriptures. Watch what it says. Stay yourselves and wonder. Cry ye out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For Yah have poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and have closed your eyes, the prophets and your rulers. So now you can understand why most people led astray, because the very people they relied on don't even know the words, don't know how to study the scriptures, don't know the books, telling you to learn some languages, and they don't even know the meaning of words. The seers have he covered. And the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed. Why? Because you're not looking to have a vision anyway. You're not looking to see this, because there are certain things you got to do to see it, which men deliver to one that is learned. He's learned. So if you learn, then why don't you know this? Saying, read this, I pray thee. And he said, I cannot, for it is sealed. Man, this ain't sealed, man. I can turn this thing all over. And you're talking about it's sealed. What's sealed about it? I can read this plain as day. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned. Saying, read this, I pray thee. And he said, I am not learned. At least he's telling the truth. But you can learn everything else. You know the comic books. You know the color purple. You know all these other books, but why can't you know this? Wherefore Yah said, for as much as these people draw near me with their mouth and with their lips, do honor me. And he's talking about not people, he's talking about the people that's, they praising Yah, hallelujah, and praise him on Yah, and talking about the word of Yah, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear towards me is taught by the precept of men. Because you learn how to read like men. You learn how to read by studying other books, and you think you can pick up the scriptures and do it the same way. Who told you that? Who told you that? That's not how you study the scriptures. This is not how you know the word of Yah. This is not even how you receive his words. It says, therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, even a marvelous work and a wonder, for the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yah, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who see us, and who know of us? And y'all know who they are, calling themselves teachers and calling themselves all kind of things, knowing that Yah has not sent them to do any of these things. Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say unto him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he have no understanding? So I'm here to tell you,
90
seconds.
Putty,
clay in the hand of Yah. And until you learn how to let him mold you, hear people challenging this and challenging that. Well, who told you? Who told you? Who gave you the understanding? Of course, they'll say, well, Yah.
60
well, if Yah
seconds.
gave you the understanding, as you say, then why don't you know this? This is simple. It's not hard at all. Did he come to you in a vision? Did he speak to you in a dream? Is this how Yah showed you his words? Or did he speak to you mouth to mouth, even apparently, not in dark speeches or riddles? And the similitude of Yah, you yourself have beheld. Is that how Yah came to you? That you might know his words? This is
10
no other
seconds.
book. This is not like the other books. You can't study this like any other book, nor can you read it. This is the word of Yah. There are no greater words that's ever been written. And there are no greater words that ever been spoken. How do you study the scriptures? We will continue this until tomorrow. Yah love you, and so do I. Shalom.
To you, my Yah, do I lift up my soul. And trusting you, he always kept me whole. And left my enemies deep in their holes. Let none that wait on Yahweh be ashamed. Put shame on those who sin without a cause. Show me your ways, please teach me your laws. Oh Elohim of my salvation, I'm staying down and patient. As a child, all the while I'm waiting. Remember not to sin.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.